Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and good afternoon to everyone. Okay, my today reason to uh, do this session today is regarding a lot of misconception and wrong information and propaganda is being going on. Okay, so basically, what I would like to say. Uh, First, I want to clarify is that myself being active is not simply active, but uh, Mr. Akbar and his team has a proper WhatsApp group, and in that WhatsApp group, whatever the discussion takes place and whatever the message goes across, that message is approved by everyone before we go and post that message to the members. So it is not that I am controlling the team or I am making decisions, but basically I am just helping them as an official spokesperson to help them, because we don't want many people to talk different views and create confusion. So that is the reason we have a single voice, one team, one direction. There we have a single voice where we want to share our ideas and our thoughts with the members. Okay. Now coming back to the MPA, okay, there is a propaganda going on that we are against MPA. I have repeatedly said before, and I want to again inform this, that we are not against MPA. Actually, we are supportive of MPA, and we want the MPA where the members' data will be protected. We want an MPA where we will ensure the members' sustainability. We want the MPA where members should grow. We don't want a simply MPA in an egg form where it does not have any purpose. We want an MPA where, if you go back to, as I have told before, that if you go back to 2013 for the first time, when we were given the approvals by the regulator to do the remittance business, and if you look back after 10 years today, your book of accounts and class C players must realize that how much of their data was stolen, how much customers were stolen. Okay, customers were taken away to the digital channels. And here what we are talking about is that we want to make sure that this does not happen again. Okay, what is the core objective of the MPA? What was the core objective of the MPA? The core objective of the MPA was not that, as we have been told in the, oh, you can remit 300,000 ringgit, you can remit 500,000 ringgit, or you can remit 1 million ringgit through different principles. But the core objective of the MPA was that we want to have a better rates, and we want to have a better rates for us, and we want to we want where the principal players, okay, will offer us a better, sorry, the better rate. Okay, that was the main issue. When it comes to the transaction, we have no issue with the transactions. We thought that when we have an MPA, we will have, like, maybe some principal has access to certain corridors, they can offer better rate, and other principal can offer the better rate for certain, like some principal may be good to the China corridor, and some principal may be good for the Indonesian corridor, and he can offer us better rate for Indonesian corridor, and other principal can offer us the better rate for China corridor. So that was the main objective of the MPA. Was not the objective that we want to break the transactions between different principles, okay, as we are being told. Okay, when we talk about big transactions, I think when you talk about blue collar workers, we call them blue collar workers, the foreign workers, our transaction volume is very small. We don't have a like 50,000 ringgit or 100,000 ringgit transaction which we want to remit. But basically we have a small transaction, 1,200, 1,500, maximum maybe 3,000 to 5,000 ringgit, and we don't have a compliance issue at all. The issue is here is the rate, that whether we are given the fair rate, because what is happening is that the principal players are selling the same rate what they give to us in their own counters, and that is the reason we want to go for MPA, so we will have the better choice where what principal is going to give us the best rate, we will go to that principal. Now the problem here is that when we talk about somebody is going to tell us that you can have a 5 principles and you can remit 200,000 ringgit, and you have a 6 principle and you can remit 300,000. I think these are very false claims. Okay, because when you look at the approval, when you look at the regulatory approval, okay, the regulatory approval has clearly mentioned that MSB agent, that is also a MSB licensee, can tie up with more than one principal. Okay, but the principal licensee remain accountable and is subject to expectations under BNM, PD, and agent oversight framework. Okay, so when you talk about agent oversight framework, and if you read the agent oversight framework, it is written that you have to read this document together with anti-money laundering, counter financing of terrorism, and targeted financial sanctions for financial institutions guidelines. Okay. Then the second is governance and risk management operations for MSB guidelines. And the third one is that any other regulatory guidelines which has been issued by the regulator. And if you go back to those guidelines, okay, and they are clearly mentioned to the Money Services Business Act, and then there is a Remittance Business Regulations 2012. When you go back to the Money Services Business Act, it clearly tells that the maximum transaction limit. And when you go to the Remittance Business Regulations, it also sets the limit at 50,000 ringgit per customer per day. Okay. Now, what my point here is that I, as a licensee, shall have a right. Okay, we have to reach back to the regulator and we have to discuss with the regulator and understand that why the regulator has in the first place put the 50,000 ringgit per an individual. Because, okay, by example, as a licensee, I came across customers, okay, when we talk about 50,000 ringgit, okay, so you know that, like, for example, we are daily facing these situations where the people come to our counter, maybe they don't want to do the CDD and they want to change the money. They can come and do the transaction 3,000 below with me, and they can go to all the money changers around and they can change below 3,000 ringgit, and they don't have to provide the document, okay, their identification document. And when you talk about remittance, if somebody want to send 50,000 ringgit, he can go from one principal to another. He can go to RIA, he can go to IME, he can go to Merchant Trade, he can go to Western Union, and there are 100. In Kajang itself, in my place, we have a 7 to 8 principal. So maybe one individual can use the same document and then he can go to different principals and remit 300,000 ringgit. Okay. What we are trying to say here is that when the regulator has put this limit of 50,000 ringgit per individual, where it was 10 years before, whether it is still relevant or not. Because when we allow that one person is remitting 50,000 ringgit per day, and that person can remit, because I came across a customer who remitted through me 1 million ringgit over 10 days of period, or I think 20 days of period, every day 50,000 ringgit to Thailand. Okay, so it was long time before, and he provided us all the supporting document. So what I am trying to say here is that when we should approach the regulator, what we want to do is that Mr. Akbar and his team has decided that we have to reach back to the regulator and we have to look back and discuss with the regulator that whether, why not, we should have a policy where when some individuals come and if he has a supporting document and he can provide all the supporting document, then why not we can remit bigger amount than this, maybe 100,000 through one principal itself, or maybe 200,000 through one principal when the person has the supporting document. But end of the day, we have to look at the regulator wisdom, that why regulator have put the amount as 50,000 ringgit. So coming back to this, if we are going to, without a proper written framework, written regulatory document, written form of any document from the regulator, if we go and claim that, oh, well, you can remit 300,000 or 500,000 to multiple principals, I am afraid that we will run full of the regulatory limits. And if we break the regulatory limits, what's going to happen? We are going to be responsible, and our license is going to be at risk, and our license will be revoked. There are so many instances where the people has approached the association and they were seeking help when the license was being revoked, or there was some issues with them, and moms have simply told them that that is the company own issue, that company has to deal with the regulator. Moms cannot help in this regards when the regulator want to revoke the license, because you have a compliance issue, you have broken the rules, you have breached the rules and regulations. So what I'm trying to say is that if somebody goes and by mouth tell us, oh, you get without a written black and white from the regulator that you can remit 300,000 through 6 principles, or you can remit 500,000 to 10 principles, I think this has to be looked very carefully. Because if I breach the rule and if my license is being revoked, tomorrow Bank Nigara take, because the Money Services Business Act section 39 has clearly written there the transaction limit, and inside the regulatory guideline the limit is 50,000 per individual. And if we don't have a black and white from the regulator in the policy form or whatever the letter that yes you can do that, and if we go and do that, what is going to happen is our license will be revoked. And then what is going to happen is we will be told to become full agent. So are we going to look and do that? Or do we want to become full agent or lose our license? So now coming back to MPA, what we are trying to say here is that MPA, everybody supports MPA. Mr. Akbar and his team is supporting MPA because Mr. Akbar himself is a principal player who does not have at all any money changers who are his agents, and I think he is going to benefit from it. But what we are trying to say here is that we want an MPA where in that form where it is going to help us in terms of corridor growth, and the second part is in terms of profits, and third is in term of our data protection, that our data has to be protected. And when we want to go into this MPA, we want to make sure that our data is being protected, and our principals, whoever are going to use to be onboarded, we are going to be onboarded, they will not misuse our data. They will not directly contact with the customers, they will not. But when you talk about MBA, I have actually spoken to few of my friends who are close friends and who are having a good business in remittance transaction, and I asked them that what you expect from MPA. So what was their option was that they told that maybe it will add 2 to 3,000 ringgit, but they don't expect that their profit will go into double figure. Maybe it will add 3 to 4 to 5,000 ringgit maximum. But I think that's good enough for even for us to cover our rental or maybe 2 or 3 staff salaries. Okay, but we cannot run full. If we think that we are going to use 3 principles, and if somebody comes to us and we are going to want to send 15,000 ringgit, and that 15,000 ringgit we will break 5,000, 5,000, 5,000 into 3 different principles to avoid the regulatory guidelines, then I think we are going to be at trouble, not our principal. Because what's going to happen is every transaction which now itself as an agent, when we are like I am an agent to RIA IME, and my all the transactions, when the IME submits the reports to Bank Nigara, line by line report, Bank Nigara can see that this transactions was conducted at Apex Chain, which branch. Okay, so line by line data report shows. So if somebody tells us that go and you remit 5,000 here, 5,000 here, 5,000 here, then it means that I am breaching something. Okay, because limit is 50,000. If somebody can give you the amount of actually how many tickets we have, the big amount, but if somebody can give us the proper supporting document, we can submit, we can send it through one principal. But if we think that we want to break it into smaller transactions, we are going to be in trouble, because we at the end of the day we will have to answer to the regulator that why we have broken it into the smaller transactions. I am talking about, because regulator is not bothered about our business, they are only bothered about the compliance. They want that rules and regulations are being followed. They don't care whether you have a business or not. If you don't have a business, you are losing the money, they will ask you to talk of the paid up capital. And I think we are all aware that minimum capital requirements are there. So for us, and then when we talk about MPA, we have to talk about also so many things. With moving forward, we have to talk about price war. What is happening in the market? Nobody is talking about it. And when we talk about price war, nobody want to discuss about it. What is their agenda? Why they don't want to discuss about it? And when we talk about what you call it, the digitalization, how we are going to move forward the members, nobody talks about it because there is no plan how we want to talk about it. Because if you look back in 2020, we are 235 licensees together, and if we as a group go to the to the MDAC or any government body and seek the grants, we would have been today operating on our own. We don't have to depend on the principals. Okay, now let me emphasize on the principle. Okay, now everyone has a principle. Okay, in Malaysia, we call them the principals, but when you look at international terms, they call MTOs, money transfer operators. So who are MTOs? MTOs are actually also the major principals where all these class A players are riding on them to do the settlement. Because for you to go and globally go and sign the agreement with every bank is not so easy. So what you do is you sign up with the MTO. So they call money transfer operators, and these money transfer operators are the one will do the settlement for you, and you just pre-fund them. So everybody, maybe everyone, even RIA will have link with someone, even merchant trade will have with link with someone, even MoneyGram will have link with someone. Everyone is linked somewhere with someone. Some places they are directly connected, and some way places they are connected through the MTOs, okay, to do the settlements. Those corridors where they have a direct access, they prefer to connect themselves because it is viable. Where there is a transaction volume is small, maybe they will go through the MTOs, money transfer operators. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is why we are not looking into that, why we are not looking into digitalization, why we are not looking into the moving forward. Yes, MPA is there, MPA will come, MPA, we will have to look at the benefit once we start this module. Then we will look real benefit. Then only we realize after 2 to 3 months that how much our income has gone up, how much corridor growth has taken place. So that is our business where we will have to look. And I think everybody, I think within 2 to 3 months, I think maximum 3 months, you all will know already that what benefit the MPA is going to give to you all. How many thousand of profit is going to add to your book of accounts, how many customers, extra customers you are going to get. That one only after the implementation the MPA will tell. Okay, and everybody is supportive of MPA. Only the difference is how to approach it. Mr. Akbar and his team want to ensure that MPA is approached in a way where class C players are protected in terms of sustainability, protectors in terms of data protection, in terms of profits, in terms of corridor growth, and lastly, drive them, guide them, hold their hands and take them towards the digitalization, where the time will come, maybe another 4 or 5 or 6 years, where this physical currencies, the fiat currencies, will become absolute. And at that time, we have to find the ways how we are going to sustain, how we are going to survive, how we are going to stay relevant. And that is the most part that we have to think about it. More worrying part is this. MPA is here, okay? And after 3 months, we will know the effects of MPA. But after MPA, for example, we deploy in January. And after January, February, March, and April, by April or March or April, we know, okay, what will be next step? Where we are going to lead after that? if we realize that our profits has just increased by a little bit, how we are going to move forward, how we are going to take next steps. So dear beloved members, we need a team which will take us towards that journey. We need a group which is guiding us without any personal interest and personal benefit, which they want to take us to that next journey, which is the real challenge, is digitalization, which is looking at us and trying to eat us up. That is the main challenge. MPA is going to come. Everyone is going to support it when we talk about Class C, and hopefully it will benefit all of us to the certain extent. As I say, the real core objective of the MPA was for us to have access to the corridors where certain principal cannot offer the better rates and certain principal can offer the better rates. Okay, so we want, in that context, we want to have a MPA, not to break the rules, not to go and, because we don't have big transactions of 50,000 and 100,000. Okay, so moving forward, I hope that everyone will, those who have very little members, I think all are busy. So those who have seen today, and this video is going to be available on YouTube, and I hope that tomorrow all the members, when go to the poll, please look at the benefits, what you are going to get another 1 and 2 years. The technology is taking place at very high pace, and we are behind times, and we have to catch up. And how we are going to catch up is, we need to join together, we have to cooperate with each other. You know what is happening in the industry. What is the price war is taking place? Nobody is talking about price war. Now you talk about staff expenses are very high. Even you want to now hire the staff, you cannot hire the staff at what you're supposed to hire in 1 year or 2 years before. Staff also have their own demands, and they also looking for high salaries. And how you are going to attract the good talent to your company if you don't have the good earnings, if you don't have the good benefit, you don't have the good profits? How you are going to do that? So for that, what you have to do you want to remain like this? Today what is happening is, as we have repeatedly said, that the retailer and wholesalers are working together. The retailers and wholesalers are operating the same business. We are at the mercy of the wholesalers, who are also doing the retail business and selling better prices to the customers, buying better, selling better than our rate. What we are going to do? If the wholesaler go and start opening the shop next to all of us, how we are going to survive? How we are going to fight? We have to think this. We have to think about our sustainability for years to come. I want to assure to everyone, please don't believe that anyone is against MPA. Actually, we can assure you that Mr. Akbar and his team will bring the best of the best MPA to all the members, where they will ensure your sustainability, your profits, your corridor growth, your data protection, everything will be properly protected through the proper agreements. We are not going to let principals steal our data, steal our customer. We will not allow this under the MPA. We will not allow this. Anyone who want to be, any principal who want to be member of the MPA, part of the MPA, we will ensure that they will sign an agreement with the players, with the LMCs, that they will not steal the MPA's data. We are not going to let them steal our data, which has been happening from last 10 years, from 2013 to 2023. 70% of our customers are gone to digital channels. I have came across a customer, one player in the northern region session, and this LMC has told me that for years he is a agent to a principal, and he onboarded the customers. And then recently, around few months back, the same principal has opened the shop just opposite of him, and all his customers has sent the WhatsApp message through the phone and taken to his own shop. Why do you? What you are going to do if that happens to you? It happens to us. It has been happening to us from last 10 years. What we are going to do? We have to protect our data. We are onboarding the customer. Those customers are our customers. You are giving us a system, and that system you are making money from us. You make more money from us than we make from you. You give us what? Peanuts. You give us the crumbs and you eat the bread. And on top of it, you also want to take away our data. We are not going to allow this data theft. We are not going to allow this data theft in terms of taking away the customers. Customers belong to us, and we have to protect our data. And I want all the class 3 players to identify the people who have the vested interests, who want to maybe become themselves principals. There are no more agents left. So we have to protect ourselves, we have to protect our data, and we have to protect our rice ball. That is the last. I hope that this session will clarify all the doubts on the MPA, and looking forward, I hope that tomorrow all the members, when they vote, they will wisely decide and think about their future. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.